God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. Sometimes He has set God Almighty, I feel so good. God has smiled on me. Oh yeah. Good to me. One more time. Yeah. Smiled on me. Every day of my life, I feel it. You give me strength and energy. Help me to sing. He's been good to me. Oh yeah.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton of Brooklyn, New York. I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. And I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say,
God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me.
then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us.
Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Get up. God has smiled on me. He's been good.
Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown.
God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on
started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955.
It's Monday, December 1st. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And today, December 1st, first of all, I see Prairie Carrington is writing on the message board what I was going to open with, but I'll open it reading what they're saying. Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and live stream audience. Today marks 70 years since Miss Rosa Parks gave up her seat on the Montgomery bus boycott. However, there is a woman who gave up her seat prior to that. That's no doubt. That's a fact. That the Miss Claudette Colvin gave up her seat on March 2nd, 1955. And the strategy was that they did not want to use Miss Colvin as the symbol because she was not as fair-skinned, and that's when a lot of blacks were color-struck, we used to say. Some of y'all still are, don't admit it. And that she had had a child, unmarried. In fact, in my last book 2.5 years ago, called Righteous Troublemakers, I wrote a whole chapter about Miss Colvin. I met her. But it doesn't take away from the fact that 70 years ago today, Rosa Parks did sit down, same as Colvin did, and it did change the laws. It started the Montgomery bus boycott. In fairness to Colvin, she was the first that did it. In fairness to Rosa Parks, she not only did it, but they followed up by breaking the bus company. One of the things I think that we always have to resist is pitting one against the other. Oh, they didn't use Colvin calls her how, she was dark and had a baby. Yep, and I wrote about that. But that doesn't make Rosa Parks a bad person, because Rosa Parks and them spurred and sparked a movement. So we should honor both of them. That's why I tell people, I've been reading over the weekend, rereading some of the books around the 60s and the whole argument between Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And I grew up out of the King movement. I was too young to be in the movement, but in 68, the year he was killed, I had just joined the chapter in New York of his organization, SCLC Operation Breadbasket. My mother had brought me to my pastor, Bishop Washington, who brought us to Bill Jones, who was the head of the chapter, and he introduced me and my mother, Jessie Jackson, who was the head of Breadbasket. And Dr. King just got killed a few days later. And I became youth director at 13. So I grew up in that movement. But most of my peers, most of the kids who went to school with me, were more nationalists. They were Malcolm. And we used to have big arguments on who was right, Malcolm or Martin, nonviolence or self-defense. And at the end of the day, both were important. You needed both. And at the end of the day, they got together. When Dr. King went to jail in Selma, Malcolm X went down there. and said, yeah, I said a lot of things against Dr. King, but I respect him. Many men put his life on the line. I respect. So I think that in any situation, you're going to have different tactics, different views. The one that I think is important is the one thing that I think is important is that if we keep our eye on the prize and use whatever it takes to work, and you find your way to the ones that you're comfortable with. So December 1st, when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on that bus, it changed the segregation laws in America. No question about it, no doubt about it. And, people talk, well, that mean that much to me. Well, then go sit in the back of the bus then when you get on the bus. And quit eating at these restaurants you go to. I mean, why are we so negative toward people that made sacrifices that we won't make? Rosa Parks could have been lynched for sitting in front of that bus. They could have called a boycott and it didn't work. For one solid year, those people refused to ride the bus. And we can't keep y'all out of wholesale store. So we should honor those that pay the price and got results. There's a straight line from the 55 bus boycott in Montgomery to the 64 Civil Rights Act. Straight line, because they never stopped. And too many of us go to one march, one rally, and want to know why the world didn't turn upside down. It doesn't happen that way. And it doesn't happen that way around the world. Look at South Africa. Nelson Mandela was in jail 27 years before they could break apartheid. And there was some in there longer than he was. So you cannot break down the powers that be. Raw power has to be worn down by determination. And that's why in this fight that we're in now under Donald Trump, you're going to have to be determined, not just one statement and that's that. That's why I'm fighting for the long haul. These things that we're beginning with our going in these corporations to their shareholder meetings, following up our march on Wall Street, following up other things we're doing in terms of voter protection to put people in so we can hopefully make sure that the Congress change. It's a long distance run. And anybody tell you I'm an activist, but I want things done right away, you're not an activist. You're an actor. Because activists understand you fight till you win, not fight if you win. And there's no calendar or clock on when you're going to win. You fight because you're not going to take anything less than what you're supposed to have. All right, I trust you enjoyed your weekend. You that dealt in Thanksgiving, had a great Thanksgiving with National Action Network. We gave away turkeys all over the country and served hot meals. And then, of course, we had at National Headquarters, had Spike Lee and the new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, and State Attorney General Tish James, all was there with us most of the day, giving out hot meals. And many of you dealt with family and all, but I hope you didn't miss the news of what's going on. Well, if you did, let me bring you up to speed. And you can call in because this is Hot Button Monday. There's a lot of hot stuff going on. First of all, this is December 1st. December 31st, the tax rebates on the Affordable Care Act will expire, which means the premiums will go up. And if you and I are not careful, they're going to allow that to happen. Trump had said he had an answer, an alternative for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. He said he was going to announce it last Monday, how he was going to deal with the tax parts of it and the premium. He did not. He postponed it. They will run the clock. And I think that we need to really be focused on writing and emailing our members of Congress, the district you live in, and your senators that they better renew the Affordable Care Act as is. As is. That's one thing. Second, there's reports that lawmakers of both parties said, well, let me take my break. I want to break down all this news because some of y'all had your head in the sand because it was Thanksgiving weekend. You need to know what's happening. Let's take a break. It's Hot Button Monday. Let's start lining up your calls at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back. No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long
You know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair,
And
man.
you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of Nash Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
two people that most influenced my life are from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went for his mother's funeral. Jesse walked with my mother's death. South Carolina, that's the balance of my life. Civil rights.
But also. Yeah, right.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's Hot Button Monday, and as I said, this is the 70th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on the Montgomery bus, segregated bus that led to the Montgomery bus boycott and all the way to the Civil Rights Act of 64. It's also the birthday of the Honorable Shirley Chisholm, first black woman in Congress, first black woman to run a serious race for president. And I feel real indescribable way about both these women. I've met Rosa Parks many times, spoke at her funeral. In fact, we are posting the reflections I gave at her funeral in Detroit and the request of her family. And I knew Shirley Chisholm very well. I was youth director of her campaign for president when I was 17 years old. I wasn't even old enough to vote. They changed the voting age to 18 that year. And you could vote at 18 years old that November. I wasn't going to be 18 until October, so I couldn't vote in the primary for her. The primaries was all, I could vote in the general. And Shirley Chisholm, let me tell you something. Shirley Chisholm was a hard taskmaster. She would absolutely, my whole full name was Alfred. James Brown was one that told me, just call yourself Al. It's too much Alfred Sharpton, Al. So she said, Alfred, you pronounced that word wrong. Alfred, she never stopped being a teacher. And she drove the best out of us. And I try to tell young people that they don't take for granted being around great people, because you'll regret you didn't take in more from them when they're no longer there. I knew Shirley Chisholm was great. I knew Adam Clayton Powell was great. I knew Reverend Jackson was great. But I didn't realize how great until I got older and saw what the odds were against them and what they were able to do, which is why now it's hard for me to look up to people that's standing on ladders when I was around people that stood on their own 2 feet and stood taller than them. Some folks look taller than y'all, but they're on a ladder. They're not standing on their own 2 feet. These folks, Rosa Parks, Shirley Chisholm, stood on their own flat foot and was taller than any of the political powers that was out there. Let me say by way of announcements, and I'm going into Hot Button Monday and let you talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. A lot of y'all, I know, have a lot to say coming out of the holiday. But don't forget Politics Nation. It was hot this weekend, even on a so-called holiday weekend. I had everybody from Jim Clyburn to Richard Lawson and the new movie out, Aftershock, talking about how the police killed this young man in New York on the eve before his wedding. I had the widow on, had a young man on Sunday, that had done time in jail almost 3 decades for something he didn't do. Now he's run for office and has taken office in Louisiana as a clerk. Had the senators on and the Attorney General of Washington. Don't miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, Saturdays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And you that are in the New York area, and many of you were there, some from out of town because of the holiday weekend, came to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. Glad to see you. And every weekend I'm there. I'll be there this weekend. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television or www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let's go to the phone. Let's kick this week off right with Miss Eunice, the beloved Miss Eunice, my beloved friend from Chicago. Miss Eunice.
Good afternoon, Rev, and thank you. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was blessed. We gave away a lot of food, had a lot of people there at the House of Justice, and I served on Thanksgiving. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know you do. And I continue to pray for Reverend Jackson family. Boy, you look like Dapper Dan on these TV shows. Better watch you. You know, Rev, I don't like to take up a lot of time, but I got to get this off my chest. You know, we have a lot of food deserts in Chicago, and I was out last Monday to pick up my meds at CVS Pharmacy, and next door is a food store. I decided to go in and check out prices. Things were almost double on some items, and I got home and called back and asked for the manager, and he said I can't compete with the box stores. So me, in my Middleton way, I said, yeah, you're price gouging. And he said to me, sorry for the inconvenience.
Wow. Wow.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
Arrogant, and you know, on top of it.
Yes. And back in the day, we had a consumer clubs. Used to go out and check complaints, you know, at Push and ask them, who do you get your supplies from? What black company? We don't know anybody. We used to give them places to shop and go back in a couple of weeks to see if you conform to what we had asked you to do. You know, we didn't threaten them, but we would go out, investigate. Then once they didn't do that, we'd come and try to communicate, and then if they didn't do that, we would go out and boycott, you know. So that's the way it's done. But they think they can come in to our neighborhoods because a lot of people can't get out, so they charge whatever they want. And I would like for us to be very mindful of that, not only at Christmas, but every day in your life. You think about that.
Absolutely.
And most of these stores, we are the margin of profit because I've worked in areas in the billing department where I used to work and all, and I see the markup that, you know, comes in from the different places. So let's not think that we're getting a bargain always. And finally, Reverend, as much as I despise what Trump is doing to our democracy, I blame the Republicans because they have the power and they can stop this, but they go right along. So let's pray that things will soon change. And thank you for taking my call and giving me the time.
All right. Thank you for your call. Always good to hear your voice. And Miss Eunice, I'll be in Chicago Friday for the funeral services of Dwight McKee, one of our critical activists, was my best friend in the world, worked with Nan, was there in the beginning of Operation Push, and his funeral will be this Friday at 10 o'clock at Fellowship Baptist Church. I'm coming to do the eulogy, so I'll be in Chicago to eulogize my best friend and extraordinary strategist and leader, Dwight McKee. Let's go to, do I have time for another call if I have to go to break?
No, let's go to break.
Let's go to break, and we'll be right back. More of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love.
Let's go. Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising. But one black man, Rich Newton, has said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
The fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished, but the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you a racial name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us.
Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Hot Button Monday, and we're talking about 70 years today. Rosa Parks sat down on the front of the bus. What are you willing to do? Right now, today, as I said at the beginning of the show, they are 30 days away from letting the Affordable Care Act's tax credits expire, which is going to send the premiums through the roof if they do not come with extending the Affordable Care Act or a reasonable way of assuring this. That's one. Second, they are outright just shooting, killing people in the Caribbean in the waters, saying that they are drug dealers. No evidence, no trials, no trying, not even showing us the drugs. And they are going after Venezuela with a vengeance, and say he's going after Nigeria. And we saw yesterday Homeland Security head Nome, Christy Nome, said that the person that shot the 2 National Guardsmen, and I'm against shooting anybody. Guardsmen didn't make the policy; they were signed there. That anybody that has any joy in seeing people hurt because they in military or they would Trump send them to do, I'm not with that. But she said that they tried to blame it on President Biden, saying he brought these people in from Afghanistan. Well, he was given asylum under Trump. So it's not about all of that. It's about us having this to really, 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 really deal with. That this administration is out of control. So there's a lot to talk about, and I'm gonna give you a chance to do this Hot Button Monday. Let me go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Disco Brian.
Rev, happy Hot Button Monday. Regarding everything you said about Shirley Chisholm's connection to you, I will never be able to properly express the honor that it is to have this privilege to talk to you and for you to even know of me, and I think I will gladly yield to anyone else with a bigger platform who wants to come here and seek your wisdom. I really wish more people in hip hop and rock and everywhere else were here in fellowship with you and your community, Rev. Rev, the closer the mayor-elect walks with you and Nan, the better he's going to be as mayor. And I really pray that you can be one of the bridges that helps him understand that Zionism is as elastic a concept as patriotism or even jihad, that there are liberal anti-occupation Zionists like Thania Oz Salzberger on the front lines in Israel. And anybody who wants to consider her work, she's on Twitter, Fania Oz, Thania Oz Salzberger. And also, Rev, that American Zionist Jewish leaders like Chuck Schumer and Josh Shapiro also despise Netanyahu's corruption and are calling for accountability for the war crimes of his government. And Rev, with that in mind, I have been wrestling with a question about language and history. When you quote Mark Twain in the Nan reel, I always think about how Huckleberry Finn came out in a world where a black character could be called N-word Jim,
right,
and how much better it is that no decent white writer would do that today. And you have talked openly about your criticism of the wanton use of that word in hip-hop. But I want to ask you, Rev, about the pre-hip-hop, post-60s era, when some white artists who we revere today, generally, used that word in what they saw as radical or protest songs, like John Lennon and Yoko Ono with "Woman is the N-word of the world," or Randy Newman's Rednecks, or even Bob Dylan quoting it in Hurricane about Reuben Hurricane Carter, the black middleweight boxer wrongfully convicted in New Jersey. Patti Smith, Rev, recorded Rock and Roll N-word, and she quietly pulled that song from the streaming services a couple years ago. But I learned after seeing her in concert this weekend in Philly that she performed Rock and Roll N-word at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Madison Square Garden with you and Aretha sitting right in front of her. So, Rev, in the 70s, did it bother you or James or Aretha when y'all heard those songs? Did black leaders and artists talk about that kind of thing? Or was it seen differently?
I was a younger activist in those times, and we talked against it then. That's when people started saying we're not even calling ourselves black anymore, we're calling ourselves Afro-American. And whoever told you that Aretha and I was at Madison Square Garden for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when she sung that song is inaccurate. I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Aretha. Only time I've been there to the
Rev,
wait a minute.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
The only Rock and Roll Hall of Fame affair I went to was when they gave James Brown the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then and after he died, they gave a memorial to him, and they had me come receive it, and both of them were not at Madison Square Garden. So I don't know who told that. I was not there. I've never seen that woman perform.
Wow. Rev, okay, folks. You know where I got that information, Rev?
No, I don't.
I got it from OpenAI ChatGPT. So that is really interesting, folks. So everybody that's out here, I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but I took it as word that actually happened, Rev.
And you should. There's a lot of things that GPT and the rest need to be checked on, and a lot of our young people have me checking on Chat and Perplexity, and they get what's fed into them. Somebody feeds those computers and data, and we take it as gospel, which is why you're wise. You check things, and that's why you are who you are. No, I absolutely. I don't even remember the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame taking place at Madison Square Garden. But I know I wasn't there. I was only there twice, and it was they used the ballroom at a hotel all the times I was there.
Oh well, Rev. I mean that is proof. That is proof that ChatGPT must not be trusted. We must check everything, and I really appreciate that, Rev. But back to the question, I'm wondering from you, should songs like that should I mean, obviously nobody's performing them anymore. Everybody's quietly removing them from their catalogs. But it's to me, it just where is that gap between like Mark Twain, who you reverentially quote, like using that word and in his literature, and how, I agree with you. I don't think I cringe every time I have heard gangster rap playing, and I've heard white people playing it.
I think it's easy. I think that the easy answer is let's have one standard for everybody. So if you are going to allow everybody from Mark Twain to a hip-hop artist to use the N-word, then we should be able to use derogatory terms about Irish and Jews and Italians and gays. You cannot have, you can't, I remember I tell this story often, but I'll repeat it again, Brian, that when I came out hard against the N-word, about 20 years ago now, some of the hip-hop artists that knew and supported me summoned me to a meeting at one of the record company owners' house, big, nice townhouse on Fifth Avenue in Midtown, Upper East Side, Manhattan. And they said, Rev Mal, you can't keep telling us and to the public that we shouldn't use the N-word. We got freedom of speech. I said, you do? They said, yeah. I said, okay. Go to the studio of this guy that owns this major record company, we in his house, and cut a record that calls Irish out their names, or Jews out their name, or gays out their name, and see if they put it out. They said, and they put the head down. I said, so let me get this right. If you say something against Italians, use a derogatory term, hate speech. Say something against Jews, hate speech, and it is. Say something against gays, hate speech, and it is. Call blacks the N-word, free speech. You can't be that stupid.
Right.
We can't be the only ones in the country that you have the freedom to use derogatory terms about us. So if you're going to have one standard, fine. Then let everybody use everybody's term. But as long as you can ban people's careers, finish their careers off of using a word, then why would I sit by and condone you using the derogatory word about my people? I mean, you've seen
all I gotta say is
you've seen people's shows canceled, all that, just for saying in private and getting caught saying. So I mean, gotta have one standard. Play the game by one set of rules, and I'm fine.
That's why you're the shepherd, and I really wish everybody with a conscience was just following. I mean, because you're just, I don't know. You just speak the truth. I love you, Rev. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call. And I think it's an important thing because we can't normalize being insulted. Let's take a break. Be right back. A lot of you on the phones. I'm coming to you, and I'm going to read some of your messages on our message board. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
Oh, Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love.
Let's go. Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40.
Oh, Sharpton.
Good luck, sir. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Message board at nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. James Green is on the message board saying, Dr. Sharpton, Reverend J.C. Green in Aiken, South Carolina, keep on doing what you're doing, and may God continue to bless and keep on keeping it real. Thank you, Reverend Green. I appreciate that. And words of encouragement, I always look forward to. Tanya Stovall says, you're absolutely correct, Reverend Sharpton. AI is fed information just like Google and all the rest. A lot of it may not be true. And I'm telling you, and don't underestimate its impact. A lot of our young people, and some people not that young, go to AI, to Perplexity or Chat, and think that all that information is correct. Now, it's good background information on some things, but you got to check facts. Talking about checking facts, we have to kick off the week, as we do all the time, the man who deals with nothing but facts, and that is the Democratic strategist and founder, CEO of Blueprint Strategies, LLC. And of course, we join him in mourning the passing of his father. I had his mentor on Politics Nation Saturday night, the one and only Brother Antoine Seawright. How you doing, Antoine?
To be with you on this very hot Monday, even though it's wintry outside.
It's hot. We've been talking the first hour. I mentioned about how the Affordable Care Act, we're on a countdown now. Trump said he had an alternative plan. He postponed it. If it gets to the end of the month, premiums going to go through the roof. Second, and as important, is we're seeing what's going on with these voter cases. What are the three top concerns that people in Washington, our representatives, are wrestling with that may or may not be at the top of the news? What are three major challenges in December?
Well, I think December 31st is when the ACA subsidies expire, and the Republicans have, for 15 years, over 70 times talked about concepts of a plan, but never really seriously developed a plan. And so that means that Lottie Dottie and everybody, Reverend Al, are going to pay quadruple in their premiums if they want health care coverage through the Affordable Care Act exchange for next year. There have been countless examples that have shown that people are paying, for an example, $5,000 a year this year, are going to pay $30,000 to $35,000 next year for insurance coverage. And so people are having to decide whether or not they're going to have insurance for the wife, the husband, the child, or no insurance at all, and just hope that they don't take sick, hope that no accident happens. That's no war. The affordability crisis continues to loom. We continue to lose jobs. We've lost 1 million plus jobs since the economics has taken over our economy, and that continues to be worse. Rev, I'm not sure you saw this, but people are having to take out short-term loans to buy groceries.
Yes,
that
right.
continues to be an issue. And now the experts are saying six-figure income is considered survival income. And we all know, according to the experts, that poverty in this country for a household of four is $32,000. Folks are saying $100,000 salary is not enough. So the affordability crisis continues to linger and loom. And then the third thing that has dropped out of the news but hasn't dropped out of the news, because I'm black, I'm a son of the South, and I know what separate and never meant to be equal feels like. And so this case at the Supreme Court that was the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act certainly is top of my mind. So those are the three things that's on my mind, Reverend Al, and I don't think that the public's interest is being doing service with the mainstream media. So we've got to keep pressure up to keep the conversation going on our forms of media and platforms that we have.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray and the Buzz in Cincinnati. You're keeping it real with Sharpton and Seawright.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev, and hello to your guests. Rev, two things. You mentioned Christy Gnomes. I saw that interview with Kristen Welker, and it seemed like every other word that came out of her mouth, she was blaming Joe Biden for it.
Right.
She would blame Joe Biden if it snowed in Washington tonight. You know, that's just how much they blame Biden for everything. But Kristen asked her, although you said Joe Biden gave him asylum, but then Kristen Welker said, well, I guess this position he had was through Trump, and Trump didn't vet him. So Kristen was wondering, why didn't the Trump administration vetted this guy?
Right.
And she kept blaming it back on Biden. You saw that, didn't you?
I definitely did, yes.
Yeah, so they refused to take blame for anything. But the reason why I called, Rev, you mentioned the bus boycott back in the day. Back in the day, people, they died, they lost their jobs, and wasn't fearful. And it's almost like today, and even going back 10, 15, 20 years, What always gets me is these millionaires and billionaires and middle class blacks. They refuse. It's almost like they don't want to get involved. They got the biggest microphone out there. They don't want to sacrifice their millions. They don't want to sacrifice endorsements. And I'm like, you've already got hundreds of $millions in the bank. Use that money to help others. It's almost like these young millionaires. The media always say they came from nothing and they were poor and now they made it. And I'm like, oh, so you know where you came from, but you don't want to speak out for fear of losing your endorsements. I just never understood why folks back then in the 40s and the 50s didn't have a lot of money, but they were together. They were cohesive. They fought. They did that boycott knowing that they could lose their jobs. And these black millionaires and billionaires and entertainers and singers, they refuse to do what the folks back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s did without their money. So that's always been a head scratcher for me. I never understood it, Rev. You got millions of dollars in the bank and you refuse to even sacrifice.
And I think Ray, thank you for your call. I think Ray raises a very interesting and important point, because today's 70th anniversary of Rosa Parks sitting down on the front of the bus where she could have been lynched. And I mean, by law, they arrested her. They didn't, bring her to a psychiatrist saying, you don't know your place. They arrested her. She broke the law. She could have been brought in the woods and lynched in that time. We're talking about 1955. We're talking about Shirley Chisholm running for president when we had most blacks in the South still fighting for the right to vote in 68. They just was testing the Voting Rights Act. And here we are, Antoine, in 25, with billionaires scared to open their mouth about their own relatives, about their own freedom. It's sick.
Well, Red, we call that invisible change where I'm from in the South. And just because we say we are free doesn't mean we're all the way free. And I'm glad you mentioned Rosa Parks, because in that same year, Red, as you know, and this is why I love being on with you, 17 months before Rosa Parks, Sarah Mae Fleming down in South Carolina, Eastover, South Carolina, sat on the bus and tried to get on the bus. And her lawsuit, the court case for Rosa Parks, and we certainly celebrate the both of them. The reason why I bring that into the picture, Reverend Al, because it seems as if old us have become new. Folks with resources not speaking up and speaking out for those who have been marginalized. We see that happening now. Social class warfare happening right before our eyes. Progress, learning not to be permanent, trying to roll back the clock on voting rights and all these other things. And then access to opportunity. And the pursuit of the American dream becoming an American name for a certain class and certain folks in this country, that sounds just like the days of my grandparents and my great-grandparents, and that's why we've got to keep our foot on the gas in terms of our fight for progress in this country.
And let me say that I think you're right, but I also say that one of the things that, and I'm glad you mentioned, we had mentioned Claudette, who had sat down before Rosa Parks. You mentioned sister in South Carolina. People forget in 1941, Jackie Robinson, who became a baseball legend, refused to get in the back of the bus in the military. And the reason I raise all that is because people need to understand, Antoine, in a struggle, there is not some one shot and it's off. It's going to take continual activism, continual voting, continual participation. You got to wear them down, and then something to break through. But we act like somebody just got up one morning, did one thing, and the whole world changed. No, it was a process. And we've got to be willing to go through the process today, because they are trying to deconstruct everything that was gained. That's what Project 2025 was about. They had a plan, and they worked all the way from the birth of the movement to the Tea Party to now. We want to do one press conference, one rally, and wonder why the whole world has not changed. Let's go to brother Jacob in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Brother Jacob.
Let's take a break.
Wait a minute, brother Jacob. Let's take the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Dallas. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there. And act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of Nash Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Babyface.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael Jackson. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes, and I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before, and so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life, and to never think that it's all about me. And so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
for Diva. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Antoine Seawright is our co-host. On the message board, I see Diva. Keeping it real. Diva Mitchell Kennedy. So good afternoon, Dr. Reverend Sharpton. Thanks for keeping it real. Thanks for keeping us updated on what's really going on. Explain, Antoine, to our radio audience, when we say about if they do not prolong or extend the Affordable Care Act in terms of the tax credits, that raised the premiums. How does that work? Because they put up so much confusion out there that people don't understand when they talk some policy. How does that happen, Reverend? If the tax stuff is not straightened out, why does it affect my premiums? Explain exactly why this needs to be extended, the tax credit.
Allow me to give some background color to the Republican healthcare crisis, affordability crisis they've created. Earlier this year in the big nasty bill, they implemented or instituted the largest cut to healthcare in American history, $1 trillion cut to Medicaid, and of course the largest cut to supplemental nutrition assistance programs in the history of this country, $186 billion. So that's square one. Square two, these ACA subsidies that was put in place by the Biden-Harris administration to make certain that your premiums, copays, and deductibles remain affordable were put in place on a 2-year extension set to expire at the end of this year, and the Republicans knew that. But because they, over 70 times in the past 15 years, want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and this is part of the Affordable Care Act, they refuse to expand those subsidies. So that means that 25 million people who get these subsidies, 18.2 million people in Trump states, 76% of those who get these subsidies are in places where Donald Trump won, will pay quadruple, triple, quadruple premiums, co-pays, and deductibles on their health insurance. So when you go to sign up for the Affordable Care Act, and that subsidy that would have normally kicked in, if they would have extended it, where you were paying $8,000 a year for a policy this year, you're now going to pay $24,000, $28,000, and $32,000 depending on where you live. And then there's some places in this country to where the premiums are so unaffordable that they are even canceling insurance plans all over this country in places like Michigan, Nebraska, and others. That's the healthcare crisis it created. Not to mention, Reverend Al, in some communities, we've already seen hospitals closing, community health-based centers closing as a direct result. And when a community health-based center closes, that means access to healthcare in that community goes away, as well as most of the economic development tied to that hospital and that health center in that community. And those are predominantly located in marginalized communities.
Now, and you're absolutely right. And I think that Who Am I says on our message page, Johnson will not make a deal with Democrats to extend the health tax credit. We got hoodwinked by Johnson and those feckless 6 Democratic senators. And I think that that is why many of us supported them staying the line, not caving in, but we all know what happened. Let's go to our brother Jacob in Philadelphia, WURD. Jacob.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Sharpton, Brother Antoine, and to your worldwide listeners, man. You know, coming out of Philly here, you know, the brother was discos. He was asking about hip-hop and them getting with the struggle. I say, well, we ain't got to worry about that in Philly because R&B in Philly, we always had the message in the music, and I always stop with ain't no stopping us now, you know. And, you know, Reverend, now, I'm so glad that you made the difference between an activist and an actor, right? That, you know, you explained that earlier. You know, this struggle is constant especially for black people, our
Right.
people.
Right.
And the American struggle is constant to keep this republic, to keep this democracy, right? It ain't no one-time thing. It's on a constant level, right? So, you know, to you was mentioning that one of your NAN members just became an ancestor, right? Did I hear that right?
That's correct.
Yes. But you know what, Reverend Al, you being a Reverend, and y'all, I know y'all know, but I got to say it anyway. The battlefield of the righteous is so good, you don't even want to die unless you on it, right?
Right.
You know,
That's right.
to me, man, Ray Charles would say, ain't that news, ain't that good news, man, ain't that news, you know? But look, going back to this military, you know, Trump got to understand that this U.S. military is not his toy soldiers, right? He ain't playing with toys here. War is hell. We know that. You know, and this guy plays with war like a bad seed child. You ever see that movie, The Bad Seed? And I'm talking about the one in black and white, you know, where you got a little child that's just got everything and just got that evil seed in him. You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, here this guy, the top fleet, one of the top fleets is in the waters of Venezuela, right? Doing what they do. Taxpayers' money, right? We ain't talking about his golf trips every time he go to Bedminster or Mar-a-Lago or wherever these places he go and all these trips he take, you know. You know, my thing is to his minister award, we just heard this news too. All he got to say in his defense is that he was drunk, okay, when he made the decision to kill all them. Just let him know. He'll say, your defense should be, oh, I was drunk. So, and they'll pardon him, you know how they do, right, Rare?
Mm-hmm.
Man, what we see, if we don't, as American patriots that really love this democracy, see what I guess God is showing us. And if we don't get up off of that thing, as James Brown say, the Godfather, and do what we got to do, then we don't deserve it. Right, Rev?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Peace, man.
Thank you for your call. Antoine, the whole battle in terms of trying to get our arms around what's going on in Venezuela. Talk about how that's being debated in Washington.
Well, it's being debated, ironically, Rev, in a bipartisan way, because now you have Trump easing, or I think coasting towards being a lame duck president. And so the fear of Trump and Trumpism, the cloud of fear does not hang as low as it used to. And so now you have Republicans who are very concerned about the continued government overreach and the abuse of power at all levers by this administration, including what's happening in Venezuela. So you see a bipartisan effort of concern being taken place from a conversational standpoint at the congressional level as well as the senatorial level. And I'll tell you how important elections are. Just think about if Greg Meeks was the chair of Foreign Affairs right now, what kind of accountability we would have in the United States Congress. And so if you're concerned about these things, it all goes back to elections. And Rev, I want to say this to the caller, because I think the caller made a valid point. Democracy is a gift, not a guarantee. In 10 years, a decade after the Constitution was signed at Independence Hall, you remember the story, Rev? A lady came up and asked Madison, do we have a republic or do we have a monarchy? And he said, a republic, if we can keep it.
Right.
If we can keep it, requires us to stay engaged and involved every single day, every single step along the way. That's why our involvement is a must, not a plus.
And it is required that we remain vigilant and active to keep it, and for many of us in our communities to attain it in the first place. And I think that many of us assumed the struggle was over because it's not as apparent in some areas as it was in our parents or in some of us that have children and grandchildren. But it's still a struggle. And yeah, segregation might not have been as bad as slavery, but it was still immoral, wrong, and you suffered. You couldn't do what everybody else did. So to have a comparative form of victimization is sick. Well, I'm all right. I'm better than my daddy was. He didn't have this, but I got this. But if you're not given equal justice under the law, equal access to capital, how you all right? And I think that what they try to do is beat us into submission, to be thankful for what we ought to be recipients of just by the nature of the fact that we're existing. Cooper in Jersey, New Jersey. Cooper, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and C-Rack. Is Cooper
We need to go to break.
Let me take my break, Cooper. We'll be right back. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Antoine Seawright is our co-host. Antoine, well, let me go to Cooper first in New Jersey. I had to call on Cooper. We had to go to break. Go ahead, Cooper.
Hey, Reverend Al. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to say, before I get into the meat and potatoes, Nan was the place to be on Thanksgiving Day. Spike Lee, Letitia James, Mayor-elect Mandami. It looked like you guys had a gracious and fun time, Rev.
We did.
And you and yourself and Nan deserve a round of applause, because that turkey drive was probably the best I've seen. If I wasn't here in Thanksgiving in Jersey with my own family, I definitely would have been there, Rev, to check you guys out.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yes, but Rev, you know, I'm right over in Jersey, and our neighboring states, I think it's crucial that we communicate, so I'm glad that you have the open line policy. But today I just want to speak about our illegitimate, de facto New Jersey Attorney General, Elena Haba.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy, Rev, that we have somebody that is not legitimate, probably overseeing prior and current cases in this state, and it's really like ludicrous right now. And I think all the cases should be reviewed because her lack of legitimacy of being an attorney general for her to rule over those type of cases.
No, I think that they were bringing up trying to remove her. If I'm not, incorrect, Antoine, they were trying to remove her from her particular her particular place as the prosecutor, the federal prosecutor in New Jersey.
And you're right, Rev.
Another judge ruled today that she is illegally or illegitimately serving in her role.
And that's true, and it's sad, but I don't think the Trump administration has the desire to actually, physically remove her from the scene. I think she still will be on the scene. Those judges ruled that, but I don't know if the president's going to, step in and put his foot down because it's just not legitimate.
No, it's not, and I thank you for your call. Well, one of the things as we deal with these legal issues, Antoine, to have prosecutors that have never been prosecutors, have no background, but they come in clearly with a legal agenda, a political agenda that is clothed as a legal agenda, is as close to an autocracy as you can get, because we saw it in Virginia in the case of Tish James and James Comey. Now we're seeing what a judge ruled today, upholding the same kind of ruling that the lower court had done in New Jersey. And it makes a mockery of the whole criminal justice system.
Well, Reb, wow, yes, I am all on board with you in that, and I touch and agree with you all the way. But there's an even deeper concern for me from a legal standpoint about this administration, the same concern I had in the previous administration. If you remember, there were 3 or 4 appointments of judges who were confirmed to the bench who had never tried a case in the first administration. Those are lifetime appointments. Just think about the type of judicial appointments they are putting up in this administration, and the mainstream media is not talking about these appointments, but they're confirming these folks on the bench at the lower and upper courts and mid-level courts for lifetime appointments. While we should overly be concerned about Virginia and New Jersey, and we've got to keep our eye on the ball there, but we've also can't take our eye off the ball on these judges, because even after Trump is gone, these judges are going to be making rulings for the rest of their lives, and some of them are in their 30s and 40s and 50s, so they're going to be on the bench the next 30 or 40 years. And again, it goes back to the consequences of elections.
Cedric Cooper says on our message page, it is amazing every weekend while everybody's resting, Trump is doing something destructive, devastating, destroy democracy to keep his agenda. That's why I'm on TV every weekend and do a rally every Saturday and radio shows, because you're right. I don't take weekends off. He doesn't. And they try to slip things through on the weekend while people are not looking. Now, thankfully, a lot of people are paying attention because I can tell from my ratings. But that's his strategy, no doubt about it. Let's go to Rick in Germany. Rick, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Seawright. Rick?
Good day, brother. Can you hear me now?
I do hear you now, yes.
All right. This is for Brother Antoine Seawright. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, Brother Antoine, but a part of the backstory to Star Trek is that socialism saved humanity and saved the planet. I would ask you, how many countries there in South America are socialist? And when I say socialist, I don't mean communist, but I mean capitalist, socialist hybrid, where the people are fed, housed, educated, and given health care. Would you care to comment?
Well, I'll comment this way. The technical definition of socialism is when an organization advocates that the meaning of production, distribution, and distribution or exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. That's what Trump has done when you talk about the federal government buying into the interests of private corporations. And so when you see them try to demonize us as being socialists, I think we've got to throw it right back in their face and back it up on them of saying they're actually the true definition of socialism in an authentic way being implemented in real time, and they're trying to do more.
No doubt about that in my mind. No doubt about that. And I think that they use these slogans and demonize people with slogans that people really don't have a knowing or know the meaning or the definition of what they're trying to hit them with. And what they've really done, thank you for your call, Rick, is they really practice socializing the billionaires and the zillionaires, giving them government money, giving them government contracts. Elon Musk will not be a billionaire without doing business with the government. So they act like somebody that's trying to survive and gets a government subsidy for help that's a socialist state, and why are we taking care of people? And you give contracts on top of contracts to the same billionaires, the same billionaire class, in the name of we're going to let them maintain their liquidity. I mean, we can't be that naive. Let's go to Sky in Richmond, Virginia. Sky.
Son, thank you, Mr. Sharp, for taking my call. But when I have been staying away from the news. It's just so depressing to me and everything like that. But with what's going on in Ukraine, Zelensky, they've been at war for 4 years. And Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing to hinder Putin to stop attacking Ukraine. And that's intentionally done on Donald Trump's behalf. You know, me personally, I have called, and I'm thankful that I'm able to get through on your line. But Donald Trump is not running the United States of America. Putin is in control. And like what's going on now with Ukraine, the people are tired, they weary, they hungry. If you've been at war for 4 years, you imagine what they're going through. And here we got the President of the United States wanting to impose anything on Trump. It's like Trump just getting his way, and I am just so sick of it. You know, Donald Trump needs to be more proactive against Putin. You know, and with that being said, I'm looking at these airlines. I call you all about these flights that's coming in from countries like Russia, coming in from places like Israel, all these different countries and everything, bringing these refugees here, which is mostly people that support Donald Trump. And like here in Richmond, I could take you to a location. It's a gated community, and them houses are starting off like $5 million. And I'm not. This is more of the urban people that are living there. And it's gated. You can't
even get on the property. You can't even get on the property. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for your call. Thank you, Antoine. I know you had to step off early today. Thank you for being with us. Let's take a break. I'm coming back after the break. 1-877-532-5797 Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We've got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go, and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see it. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that. I use a mirror every morning. But I don't get up out the bed, hair all over my head, sleep around my eyes, slobber around my mouth, walk outside talking about I'm going to keep it real. Mirrors are not only to reflect what you see, mirrors are to correct what you see. You need to make a Rosa resolution that we're going to correct what we see. We're going to keep the fight going. And we're going to have James Crow Jr. Esquire know that we are the children of those that change the world. My Rosa resolution is they won't have no rest until we finish the fight. Wherever I see an injustice, I'm going to stand up. If I can't stand up, I'm going to speak out. And if I can't speak out, I'm going to do like a Rosa. I'm going to get me a chair and just sit in the way.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Before we feed our family, we gotta make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with something forward. You're live. You come and we make sure you show up.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's Hot Button Monday, whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. Don't forget every Saturday and Sunday, holidays notwithstanding, every Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. Now is MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And we had two great shows this weekend. And I'm glad a couple of people put on the message board that they turned the show on in the middle of their family there. And one of their cousins had never seen the show and was blown away. Well, that's a good thing. And that's what you ought to do. And I promise if you get them there to watch it, we will not disappoint. Also, you that are in the New Jersey, Connecticut, New York corridor, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. I'm there every Saturday, and I'll be there every Saturday the rest of the month at the House of Justice, National Action Network House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We have our rallies. We energize ourselves, lay out our agendas, get a message on where we go for the week, and we go from there. Let us go. I have on the live line, Antoine had to leave. I have with me in the office our Chief Operating Officer of National Action Network, nationally, pastor of the Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Bird. How you doing, Reverend?
Glad to be here, Rev. Doing very well. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the phones and see what are the people's concerns on this Hot Button Monday. Let's go to Sanford. Is this Sanford or Sanford in Florida?
Where Trayvon Martin was killed. Sanford.
Sanford, okay.
Yes. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling because I'm curious that on your show, even with Democrats on X, Democrats on television, we never hear about the unemployment rates, which are rising for Black Americans. Right now, the unemployment rate is not Trump's 4.4%, but it's actually 8%. That's the national rate, which is the U6 rate. And the Black rate right now is 2.7% higher at 10.7%. Can you comment on that, Reverend?
Yeah, I can easily comment. You don't watch my show. We talked about the unemployment rate higher than whites for blacks this weekend on my show. So I don't know what show you watching. There is never time I don't raise. We have been almost double in white unemployment, and I think I said the night that they have not put out the recent data because of the government shutdown, but the last data we had, we was at 7.5 going toward 8%. I said that on the show this weekend.
Well, the last rate that they put out actually was 8%.
The last rate they put out was 7.6%. I got it sitting in front of me. But it's almost 8%. I mean, we're not going to argue over points. My point is that the shows, all of the shows, ought to be talking about the race gap. And our people ought to be talking about the race gap. That's why I have a show.
Well, and thank you for that. I mean, thank you for having a show and, occasionally comments on the unemployment rate. What we're looking for as Black people are solutions. We don't see any Democrat, and not just on your show, but anywhere, talking about solutions to the unemployment rate. And we don't see any interviewers like yourself pressing Democrats on this issue. What are you going to do about rising unemployment?
Well, I think if you talk to elected officials, for example, we had Jim Clyburn on this weekend, who was talking about the whole question of preserving health care and government funding. Those are jobs. If you talk to Congresswoman Robin Kelly, who was on yesterday, that what you're saying just is blatantly untrue. The jobs programs and the private sector being challenged on DEI, which is adding to unemployment, many thousands of people are losing their jobs because they've been accused of having them because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. All of that addresses Black unemployment because that's where we are. And one of the things that the Republicans, led by Donald Trump, has done is say, let's eliminate DEI so they can say, oh, well, we don't have to have a certain level of Black employment. In fact, we don't even have to gauge the numbers anymore because it's against now this administration to even count Black unemployment as opposed to white unemployment because it's all one thing. So again, I differ with you on the facts. We talk about that all the time. The fact is that the biggest employer of people in this country is government. When they take DEI with government, you automatically going to increase the unemployment number. Second is the private sector, who is told now you cannot hire based on race. All of the Republicans are supporting the end of DEI. Democrats I have on my show, the Democrats we have to work with National Action Network have been fighting. We just had several thousand people march on Wall Street about DEI. The reason you, in my opinion, are seeing an increase in black unemployment is they're using the end of DEI to lay off people and not hire people that are qualified at various levels of employment.
Can I say something edgewise here, Reverend? Thank you for your comments in that regard. I'm actually asking you, where are the detailed solutions? I get the generalized solutions that you just.
Well, you said there was no generalized solution. Now you want detail. First of all, you're not naive enough to think that on our show we can sit up there and go detail. Details is what we do on radio. Details is why we have rallies. Details is why we have a website. Thank you for your call. You give me three things you said we weren't doing. When I explained it to you, you go on to something else. If you want to go with Republicans, go with it, but do not distort what we are saying. That's why we march on Wall Street. And what somebody needs to explain to me is why people are not challenging these Republicans in office and those people in media like Fox and others that are supporting the end of DEI. That is what's driving unemployment to go up. I see Who Am I on our message board saying Stephen Miller, the architect of the new black unemployment. That's correct. That's what's happening, Reverend Byrd.
Yep, absolutely, Reverend. And let's also address the fact that since January, 325,000 black women have lost their jobs across the country, whether that's on the federal side or on the private sector. To put that in perspective, the current population of the city of Cleveland, Ohio, is a little over 350,000. To give you an idea of how many black women have lost their jobs since January. And I'm not sure, I can't really agree with the brother who was just on a moment ago, because I know for a fact on this program you have addressed the issue of black women losing their jobs since January, and even on Politics Nation.
But the point is, the point is that clearly we've addressed it on shows. I'm not even going to entertain that. The fact is that let's talk about. See, people try to act like there's some big academic, difficult to understand way to deal with unemployment or employment. It is not difficult. When they go after saying you can no longer gauge or measure blacks getting contracts, which is jobs, because those black businesses hire people in our community. You can no longer gauge blacks in the C-suite, which is policy for a company, or the levels of jobs. They then allow them to not hire us. That is a policy. Yep. That is a program. But I don't hear their program. That is the program. Who do you think made DEI? We did. We started the diversity program, which is why black unemployment was half of what it is now. I mean, half of what it is now. It's double now than it was under Biden and Kamala when we had DEI. That is an employment project. When we can go to private sector companies and say, you do business in our community, you have to give contracts to our companies. That is DEI, and that is black employment. Yep. So I think that some of us are so policy wonkish that we are not realistic. We're not looking for a 800-pound book. We're looking for practical ways that we remain employed and remain business owners. And they do that by interaction with government and with major corporations. Let's go to David in Birmingham, Alabama. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Go to David. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
1, 2, 3, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, I got the feeling. How I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all.
Put your hands together. I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. I got that. Ah! Baby, ow! Feeling, baby. Ow, ow, hey, hey, huh. Baby, 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 baby. Come on, sing it out. Baby, baby, come on. Baby, baby, baby. Can't hear you. Hey, hey. I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
All right. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
laws in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Babyface.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to. I mean, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me. I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him.
You lost, sir, you lost.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Malcolm Bird sitting in with me. Let's go to David in Birmingham, Alabama. David.
Well, hello there.
Hello there.
I'm calling from the great state of Alabama, Birmingham.
All right.
The home of the civil rights. Today is a great day in the United States.
Yes.
Today is the day that Rosa Parks refused to give her her seat on the bus.
That's right. That's right.
Today is a great day. And down in Montgomery, they had a lot of events going on down there. We had the Turkey Day Parade, Alabama State and Tuskegee. They had a few things going on at the parade down there in Montgomery. So, but in Birmingham, we bagging up. We bagging up. They are in the process of taking our water from the city of Birmingham. Birmingham has the largest water system in the state of Alabama. They just got rid of all the board members and got put on two black board members and 5 white. They're trying to take it over.
And
We had no
how,
college.
how
That's
did
the
how,
very reason I'm not down in Montgomery today.
how did that happen?
They huh?
How did they get away with stacking the board like that?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. We had some folks in leadership positions kind of gave it to them. We were getting it back, and we have. I'm gonna be honest with you. The civil rights movement in Birmingham, Alabama is bad enough. You know, the young folks don't seem to participate. And I'm about the oldest one here, you know, and of course, you know, I used to pick up Rosa Parks when I lived in Montgomery. I've been knowing her since like in 1979. And but I've been involved with John Lewis and everybody since 1979. But in Birmingham, everybody knows what they can get out the deal. Our elected officials, what you can get out the deal. And I've asked Sheila to give you a call to have you come down here and try to help us save our water system.
Well, Sheila,
in the city of Birmingham, we have 72% of head of household are single women.
Wow.
The average income in Birmingham is $24,000. And we have about 73% population, of black population in Birmingham. And they just, ain't too long, increased the water rate 13%. Alabama has the highest utility in the country. And they started putting, that's why crime is so high in the city of Birmingham. We need some help down here in Birmingham.
Well, let me
So,
tell you.
what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, but let me say this to you. Trump is the best thing happened to us. Just like George Wallace was the best thing happened to us in Birmingham. Trump is the best thing happened to us because we trying to get George Van to run for governor of the state of Alabama. We should be able to pick up 2 more congressional seats, District 5 and District 6. That make us have a total of 4 congressional seats, Democrat, and 3 Republicans. Trump is the best thing happened to us in Alabama. Like I said, like George Wallace, when George Wallace stood in that door, that's the best thing happened. Look at the football team down there. You see very few whites participate on the football team. The football team is predominantly black. The basketball team is predominantly black. I remember the first football player played at Auburn University. So we gonna make progress behind this deal.
No, well, I think. Thank you for your call. I think what he's saying, Reverend, is that when you have somebody that's blatant as Trump, like George Wallace, it shakes and wakes a lot of us up. And he's right. Sheila Tyson, who's head of our Alabama National Action Network chapter, is elected official down there. He said he's going to get me to come down there. If they mess with the water supply, I definitely will come down there.
Sure.
And he called the right name. Sheila Tyson is our person, has been for years, a committed, stand-up, strong sister. And Cynthia Davis now is down there in Montgomery National Action Network. Cynthia just did a whole lot around Thanksgiving time, so I'll be down there.
She's a legend.
Let's go to the sage of the South. Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you keeping it real with Sharpton and Bird.
How you doing, my brother? I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving.
I did.
Holiday and everything.
Same to you.
And the Reverend in the office with you, too.
Bless you.
Reverend Al, let me comment quickly on the Trump. I'm feeling like iffy by the brother's last statement, and this is my reason why. The type of backbone necessary for us to defeat Trump today, the majority of the younger people, to be honest with you, and some older people don't have it. There was a special type of person that fought Bill Connor. What was it?
Bull Connor.
Less thematic, Bull Connor. There was a strength in black people. You know what I mean? There was a character in black people. There was a moral consciousness in black people that I'm afraid to say doesn't exist today in the majority of us, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not wishing. I'm not a proponent of somebody got to beat you to death before you wake up. You know, I don't like that concept of you got to be punished in order to wake up. No, you should wake up because you see some danger coming. You
Right.
should be intelligent about it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I kind of like push back a little bit. I understand what he was saying, but I don't agree totally with that's going to be the motivating factor to wake us up, because that's just not how it happens today. And then the character of our people is kind of like a little bit dwindled a little bit, so to speak. But I'm trying to understand the brother that was talking to you earlier about the N-word. And I just want to make a comment on that, because I really couldn't comprehend where he was going with you sitting listening to the N-word years ago and somebody using the N-word today, and what was the difference. And I don't know where the hell he was going with it, to be honest with you, but let me say that. The N-word was never acceptable.
Right.
And I'm saying this to him. It was never acceptable. And if it was a period of time in our history where it appeared it was acceptable, he clearly didn't understand that terminology was pushed on us during our slave experience.
Right.
Right? And so if you have a person that accepts that terminology today, you have to understand that we didn't come here with that name. We had names when we came here. We had a culture when we came here. We had relationships when we came. We had a moral structure and base when we came here. So that name wasn't used in Africa, or I think the first time we came into contact with that name was on a slave ship given to us by the slave masters.
Right.
And how they called us those names. So under no circumstances or period of time in history was like to try to imply that at some point in time it was acceptable, but why is it not acceptable today? And I'm trying to understand it. No, you're not trying to understand nothing. It was never acceptable, right? It was a name given to enslaved people who were robbed of their culture, their identity, their relationships, and broken down inside for the most part, broken completely down. And those people began to take on the identity of the oppressor. And that's when that name became whatever it is today, and even to some degree accepted by some of us. And I just wanted to say that because I'm trying to figure out where he was going with it and how he was trying to equate it to Zionism and this and this and that. You know, it kind of like threw me for a loop. So maybe you could help me understand where he was going. And I'm glad.
Yeah, I think that I was somewhat perplexed myself. Because he go one way, then come back another. But I think that clearly what you said is the history. And
Yes,
there's
sir.
no denying that the word was created to dehumanize us and describe us in the most derogatory way. And then we take it and use it in a self-effacing way, like we saying something hip where we're embracing an insult. But thank you for your call. Always good to hear your voice. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Bird. Be right back.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Peace.
Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor, in the building here at the National Action Network. It's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude. It starts with giving. It starts with peace. It starts with love.
Let's go. Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about it.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be, he's a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game, because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of maybe kids who need a break. You can't have that many great people.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Reverend Malcolm Bird sitting in with me. You know, Reverend Bird, Saturdays and Sundays when we do Politics Nation, and again, I remind people just tuning in, watch it every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And this weekend we had we had Congressman Clyburn. We had Swalwell, who's running for the governor in California, who Trump and them say they're going after now, trying to get him on mortgage. They have this whole mortgage conspiracy thing that they've used against Tish James and used against Swalwell, and on and on. But I think one of the most moving things for me having a TV show was to have that young man on last night that had done time in jail for a murder he didn't commit. And he got out of jail after decades and proving his innocence and ran for the clerk and won to be the clerk in the city of New Orleans. And the clerks were the ones that was messing up a lot of the documentation and things that they needed to prove their innocence. It's a very heartwarming story. I was so glad that we did that last night.
Indeed, it's almost like that story was almost a Joseph situation in the Bible, where a brother gets locked up, and in his redemption, he is able to clean up some things for his own people, and that's the story that so many of us share. That many of us through experiences in youth entered into spaces that perhaps we should not have been in or were coerced in many respects. But anyone who serves God knows that there's always an opportunity for redemption, and we have seen that across the board with individuals who've run for political office, who've opened up business, who've become pastors and religious leaders around the nation.
Or just good citizens.
Or just good citizens.
They don't have to have a title.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Cat says, thank you, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Bird. You are the spirit of thanksgiving all year, and we are blessed daily by your generous helping of wisdom and historic action. Truly heroic. Thank you for that. I saw Evangelist Ramsey says, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed your family and friends for holidays. Serving community with love and patience is what it's all about. And she was there serving and doing it like nobody else does it. Mm-hmm. Tanya Stovall says, wow, Bruce Turner, and now we have Elon Musk, the first trillionaire compliments of the U.S. government. And that's what I was trying to tell this guy that talked about people on TV not raising black unemployment. When you've got a administration that gives all kinds of contracts to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk uses that to politicize white working class people against their own interests. And that is what we're up against. And I think that's what Jihad was, I think he put his hand on the pulse. The problem is, there was a time that we would be insulted, offended, take issue with things. There's something like a gene is missing in some of this generation now, because we don't even have an insult level. And we blame ourselves for ourselves. And yes, there's some of us that engage in self-destructive behavior, but The government is talking about millions of people unemployed just from knocking out DEI alone, because now if I go to Company A, that's one of the reasons we've had this strategy of getting stocks and shares and going to these shareholders meetings that we're going to be doing. If I go to a shareholders meeting, the defense, and you've been with me, Reverend Bird, is, well, we can't tell you how many blacks we got because of they in the DEI, we're not allowed to count it. That's where the jobs went. They're not allowed to count it by law. So you can't ask for the data because now they're saying the data is illegal. And they did that so they can increase our unemployment. Let's go to Lola in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Lola. Is Lola there?
Yes, Reverend Al, can you hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Hi, Reverend Al. I wanted to say that with what the president is doing, bombing these boats, I wanted to talk about Venezuela and what's happening and what the link is going to be between what he's trying to do with Sudan and Ethiopia, Somalia, and all of those countries. I believe that he's using Venezuela as the test project to see how far he can go. No one is stopping him. He's bombing boats. If someone's selling drugs, being a drug dealer, even though it is abhorrent, it is wrong, that's not a death sentence unless, the judge and jury give you that, right?
Right.
That's not something that one person should be able to do, bombing boats. We don't even know if there are drugs on the boats. We don't know what's going on. And Pete Hegseth just bombed another boat, right? And showed it, and they playing it everywhere with it going up in flames. And I believe that because he's not being stopped, he's going to just go into these other countries because there's oil there. They got the oil in Venezuela. We got the minerals, the oils, the diamonds, and all of that stuff in the African countries. So he's just going to go in there and start bombing up people, start doing whatever he wants to do, kicking the people out of their land, doing all of that stuff because he's getting away with what he's doing now. He's a 34 convicted felon, and so he's not following the rules. He's not going to follow the laws, and no one is putting up any guardrails or pulling him behind and telling him he can't do this. Congress is like it's non-existent, and the Supreme Court said, well, because while he's the president, he has immunity. Reverend Al, what he's doing is wrong. Bombing boats. We don't know if those people have fruit in there. We don't know because they let them come over and
I've been saying, thank you for your call, Lola. I've been saying from day one, and I said on this show, I said on my television show, I said at the rallies, I have never seen where you keep stopping drug trafficking, bombing boats, and nobody ever sees any drugs. No drugs. I mean, drugs, you would think they packaged in something would float back to the top of the Caribbean Sea. It goes to the top. I've never seen where you blow up where there's no drugs there. What happened to the drugs? Even if you blow up the boat and the drugs are in whatever, some plastic bags, the bags would be afloating. I mean, we've seen nothing to make us know that this is literally happening. That's one. Secondly, they are very selective about the countries they're going after. As Lola said, Venezuela, Nigeria, they're going after the oil-rich countries. So is this about forcing some oil deals? I mean, if you want to go after countries that are doing something against the interests of their people, why don't you help us in Haiti, where the gangs have been running the country for the last 3 or 4 years? And Haiti is right, 100 miles from the Miami, Florida border. So why are you going all the way to Venezuela? There's something absolutely that smells of this. And all of the deals they've made with crypto and they've made with other things, all of it is enriching him and his family. Lastly on that, it is an outrage. People must be really asleep that while you are bombing so-called drug boats in Venezuela, he's going to pardon the former president of Honduras who's got 45 years in jail for drug trafficking. That just happened this weekend while y'all was running around. I don't know what y'all was doing, but he pardoned because the charges and conviction was in the United States. He pardoned this man, Hernandez, for 45 years for drug trafficking. So how on one hand are you killing people because they're allegedly trafficking drugs, and on the other hand, you're pardoning somebody convicted that we saw the evidence, court proceedings, prosecution, defense, convicted, and you let him go. But you're going to kill folks that we've never seen due process, that we have no evidence at all. We don't even know who they are. All we know is they're dead in the Caribbean. And that is frightening that we're allowing this to happen, Reverend Byrd.
Indeed, Reverend, this is a grave human rights violation. From the onset, this has never been about drugs in Venezuela, and it's never been about Christian persecution in Nigeria. This has been in every attempt by this White House to grab nutrient-rich resources from countries that cannot, or he believes cannot fend for themselves. And you're eminently correct, Reverend. If this was about drugs, why pardon someone who was convicted and sentenced to 45 years? Now, if that president had done something regarding stealing oil from the United States, that pardon never would have happened. This is not an issue about oil. It's not an issue about protecting Christians. This is an issue about protecting the interests of this White House. And the interests of this White House will always be dollar signs for the occupant.
And for his family. And the evidence of that is, just look at what is absolutely, obviously documented to be so. Their income, we're only in the 10th month since he's been in, going on the 11th month, and their net worth has increased, his sons and others. And I think that I got to go back to jihad. There's something missing in some of us. Some stuff I just can't take, and some folks just take everything. And I don't know what they did to us, but thank God they ain't done it to me. Let me thank Antoine Seawright. Let me thank Reverend Malcolm Byrd. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened, and you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell everybody, tell anybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.